Good morning, everyone. My name's Greg Hocking. I'm the panel chairman for the commercial category. Before we start, I'm just going to read a brief explanation of the category just for those in the audience and in live stream world, and of course welcome to everyone in live stream world. So we will judge the commercial category, which is sponsored by the AIPP. The commercial category is for all images that would ordinarily be commissioned by a business for marketing or editorial use. This includes, but is not limited to, advertising, aerial, architecture, corporate, food, industrial, fashion, and sport photography. Images will have generally been created with a specific brief, often under supervision of an agency or client representative. The subject matter isn't the concern, but rather the purpose for which the photography was created. Entries will be judged with a broad view in the context of a commercial photograph. Entrance into this category may include non-photographic elements used as part of the brief, as long as the image submitted remains substantially photographic in its origin. This category will be judged in three sections: commissioned, self-commissioned, and sport. Although the category is judged in three sections to assist the judges in their assessment, there is only one award. Now, just very briefly before we start, I'm going to ask each judge to brief. Okay, thanks Des for doing that to me. I'll briefly ask each judge to just say a couple of words about themselves, who they are, and briefly what they do. Starting with Vittorio Natoli.
Hello, is it working?
Hello.
Oh no, you just speak into it.
You just speak into it? Okay, well, my name's Vittorio Natoli. I don't think, is that working? Yep. West Australian photographer. Basically, areas of expertise, commercial photography. Yeah, heavyweight. Master photographer, grandmaster photographer these days. Been photographing for a while, been at lots of awards. So let's see what happens.
I'm Lisa Ivandich. I'm a primarily family photographer in WA, master photographer. I've done some commercial work for some schools and things like that as well.
I am Rachel Callender, coming to you from New Zealand but now living here in Perth, which is awesome. I have been a wedding and portrait photographer for the last decade and am getting back into my fine art roots with some magic that I'm creating.
Thanks. My name's Steve Scalone. Awesome to be here. I'm a Melbourne commercial photographer. Used to be a wedding photographer a decade ago. And yeah, I also love travel and shooting street.
Hi everyone, my name is Des Burt. Have a history in wedding photography for about, 30 odd years or something, and have been a lecturer at the North Metro TAFE for about the last 5 years. And an absolute pleasure to be here with everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we'll start the judging process. So if we could have the first print, please, and we're starting the commissioned section first. So first print, please. The sprint score was 78.
I'm enjoying what the photographer's doing here, perhaps a little bit more control in the highlights and post-production, and perhaps revisit the cropping.
Sprint, please. The sprint is a silver award at 81. Quick comment from someone? A volunteer? Thanks, Steve.
I'm really enjoying what the photographer actually saw here, especially that smear of red dust and the perspective that's created. So good effort.
Thank you. Next sprint, please. The sprint score is 79. Thanks, yes.
I really enjoyed this image, and I think for me to push it into an award kind of area, it would need just a little bit more dynamism in the posing. This feels like kind of a fashion sort of a shoot, but just a little bit more oomph in the posing would push it in.
Thanks, Rachel. Next sprint, please. This sprint scores 84 and is a silver award. Quick comment from... Yes, thanks, Des.
Yeah, the creative presentation of this is really exceptional. So well done on that front. The advice I'd is the diver's just standing there, and it would be great if there was more activity, or it could tell a bit more of a story, because I think there's a story there to be told, but it's not really reflected in what the diver's doing.
Thank you. Next print, please. Print score is 79. Okay, yeah, thank you. We have a challenge. Yeah, it's probably the best way. Thanks, Victoria. We have a challenge. We have scores of 84, 75, 79, 78, 83 with an average of 80. But because there are 3 judges in the 70s, the score is 79. So, Vittorio, thank you.
So, unless I've missed something here, this is a very original concept and a very strong image as far as the... you've got 3 sets of... you've got 6 different hands in this particular image to start with. And it's talking about gender diversity or diversity. I think it's a most unusual composition, a most unusual thought process, a most unusual way to bring people of different diversity together and have them holding hands. So it's sort of got something about unity, something about, just something about humanity that's a little different. It's a bit quirky. I was wondering what I missed when everyone was, not quite as high as I was. It's a lot better than what we've awarded it.
Okay, probably down at the other end is actually, I'll kind of ask Lisa first. So Lisa?
Okay,
Yep.
Thanks, Vic. I do agree. It's a very powerful message. For me, I just don't feel it's been handled well enough in post and possibly lighting to bring it up to an award for me. The way the arms down the bottom have been burned in isn't quite uniform, and for me it's quite distracting. I just felt the lighting and the burning in of the darkening of the background. It's a really solid professional practice, but just its final processing just needed that little bit more finessing for me to bring it into an award. But I am listening.
Yeah, I really enjoy this image, and the more I'm looking at it, I almost see wishbone shapes or chromosomes, which then keep reiterating that diversity and that almost desire for harmony. So the communication is really strong. So I feel like this is a really powerful piece. I too, like Lisa, see some room for improvement in the presentation, and even consider the matting. It's very distracting. I think maybe keep it all black so you're led straight into the skin tones. They're really rich and beautiful. I am considering pushing my score up a little bit just to award that really unique thought process, and I really enjoy this image.
Vittorio, right a reply? Oh, Des, sorry, yes, by all means, yep.
Yeah, because I'm in Vic's camp. I agree with everything that's been said, and it's kind of been let down a little bit in the print handling and the post-production side, but I see this as innovative, creative. It's a really clever little idea. The diversity and the message and I love your comment about was it the DNA or and I can start drawing that from it. So if it had got the presentation side of it schmicko, this would have been high 80s and perhaps further. But because of that, it doesn't quite make that arena. But I would really like to see this rewarded because of the creative concept that's been presented.
Okay, right reply. Thanks, Vittorio.
Terrific comments and observations, and I think we've done a great job in picking this print up. So I'll be very happy to see it go up. Thank you.
Yes, Vittorio holds your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. We have a silver award at 83. Done. Just a very quick comment. Please read your entry rules on match sizing. We actually have been very lenient here and encouraging, but it's very important you read the rules, folks. Please. But as lenient as we can be in WA, APA won't be anywhere near as lenient, as Steve Scalone knows. Next print, please. Just while the judges are having a look at this work, just a reminder of the Whopper cocktail party this Thursday night, starting at 6:30 at Perth Town Hall. Tickets are available online via the AIPP. And Sunday Sundowner at the Shoe on Yagan Square, 6 p.m. screening. So all the work that scores silver award, distinction or above, will be screened 6 p.m. on Sunday. No tickets required. We have a silver award at 84. Quick comment from someone, please. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I gave it an 84, so bang on the average. I think it's such a strong image, especially graphical. The colour and the tones and everything's been printed beautifully. In order for me to actually go even higher, perhaps there's a narrative that needs to be kind of introduced in this image. But yeah, excellent work. Well done.
Thank you. Next print, please. This print score is 78. Could I have a comment from a judge, please? Thanks.
I really enjoyed this image and congratulate the author. My comment speaks to posing again. It just feels a little bit incongruent with the mother holding her baby. It sort of looks like she's standing, kind of propositioning. That's the kind of the
Can we just have a blank screen for a moment, please? Can we have that print back, please? Okay, so we're judging the sport category of commercial. We have a score of 83, a silver award. Anyone like to make comment?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I thought the caption really enhanced the image. It really spoke to it. It's beautifully processed and framed and cropped, and you've caught the emotion wonderfully. Just watch the whites of the eyes. You don't go too white. They're just a little bit past that line. Might help.
Very much. Next print, please. Next print, thank you. When you're ready. Print score is 77. Can I have comment from someone, please? Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, to the photographer, I'm enjoying the concept. Keep exploring this. Perhaps consider cropping and perhaps the choice of angle, but most importantly, the printing quality. If you can re-look at that, perhaps bring some detail back into the blacks a little bit more, or expand the tonal range. That'll kind of head you up into an award.
Thank you. Next print, thank you. This print is a silver award at 84. Comment from someone, please? Des? Yeah, you go. Yep.
Yeah, I was tempted to go higher, but and I really enjoyed it. So the level of detail and the hair that you can see framing it was just a really nice touch, and it's well composed and it's got a good design about it. It gave me the appearance as though it may not be, but it gave the appearance of being a composite. Like the background is quite detached from the model. Perhaps the photographer's been a bit too clever in their separation from the background, but it did just give it that sort of false feeling.
Thank you. Next, Brent, thank you. The sprint is a silver award at 84. No. Can I have a comment from Vittorio?
This is a beautiful print. Congratulations to the author. It's very difficult when you're working with whites and snow and a little bit of black, and that composition is just amazing. The skier on its side having fallen with the snow around it, and it's really impeccable. I would like to have seen it get more, but it's great.
Sure. Thanks, Vittorio. Could we just have a blank screen, please? Next print, please. Sprint score was 77, and I'd like a comment from someone, please. Yes, Steve.
To the photographer, great use of a panning technique. Perhaps if you actually Dutch tilted the opposite way, it will have an appearance of the actual cyclist going faster. And just with a couple of shadow details, just try and bring them back up. So re-look at the print quality.
Thanks, Steve. Next print, thank you. Print score is 78. Can I have a comment? Thanks, Lisa. Yeah.
This is a really lovely, adorable moment. I really would have loved to have seen more depth of field and that little girl's eyes in focus. She's got the cheekiest scene-stealing look there. And just watch the sharpening on the eyes there. They're getting a little bit crunchy. But it's a beautifully captured moment.
Thank you. I'd just like to make a very quick comment for those who are watching and possibly listening, and that is, in this particular category, there is actually no captions allowed. One was read out by me earlier, but that slipped through to the keeper, that one. If you look at the rules for this category, there's no captions. Okay. I'm told. Next print, please. Next print, thank you. Okay. Could we have a blank screen, thank you. So that was the sport. Now we have self-commission. Okay, so if we're ready to go. Next print, please. Just so everyone knows, the print handlers who help us are wearing the red bandanas. Okay, so if you see someone with red bandana, thank them from the bottom of your heart. And if you see them on the awards night, buy them a drink or a coffee or whatever is their poison. Thank you to all the print handlers and assistants. This is a silver with distinction at 87. And we have a challenge from Rachel, who scored this a gold at 92. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, as soon as this turned around, I just went, ooh, this looks yummy. Like you actually can, there's so many senses going on when I see this. Like it's almost liquid and there's sculptural elements. Like every little corner and piece is something interesting and intricate to view and look and kind of discover. It's like this almost metallic kind of construct with the little bits of, they look like nails or metal, but the images, it moves and it flows and it shapes and it twists and turns, and I'm kind of drawn into the center and then I'm drawn back out again, and I'm just really enjoying everything about this image as a striking piece of communication on celebration of color and style and shape and flow. So I think it's magic.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Now, everyone's scored it very well, but probably the one person that's slightly on the low side is Steve. And if we could hear a comment from Steve, thank you.
And Rachel, I saw absolutely everything you did until I went in for a bit of a closer look. And it just ripped me back down to reality, unfortunately. I'm assuming, and I can never assume, but I feel that they're perhaps reflections. And there's a pixelation that's going on, and it's not within the print or the camera that was taken. However, what was actually represented as content, especially in the blue area, but the colours are fantastic. I awarded it a high silver. I'm still listening, but that print quality just, the definition between the actual rivets and the facets of each little metallic panel seemed to just fall apart on that top end for me. But yeah, visually, it's so strong.
Thanks, Des. Who scored it an 88?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. It's I'm opening to listening. So Rachel, I'm with you, because from a distance I look at this and it works really well. This is really attractive. And I go in there and it works really well in the sense that there's stuff there to look through, work out. It's quite hypnotic, you might say. You're kind of looking through there. But there is technical issues. There's colour blocking there. There's slight oversaturations, and I take your point there, Steve. So I don't know. This is a hard one because you kind of got to tick all the boxes to get into the gold. So everything you said is correct, and then in addition, everything Steve said is correct as well. So I'm happy to listen, but the technical issues is just a little hurdle for me to get over. So I'm interested in what others have to say.
Yes, thanks, Rachel.
Okay, I too saw those pixels and I thought, what if this is intentional? What if this is on purpose? And then with that question in my mind, I thought, well, then it's even more amazing, because then it questions every single tiny piece of an image is a pixel and we can see them all, but as a whole they're working together because it's consistent throughout the whole piece. That's why I saw it as a strength rather than the weakness that you guys potentially saw. So I really enjoyed the pixelation and saw it as something very deliberate and that works really well.
Okay, Rachel, you hold your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. Great. The print stays at as a silver distinction, but now at 89. Well done. Next print, please. No, it was just an 89. And Woodgate review, was it that one? Print is a silver with distinction at 87. Okay, we have a challenge from Des, who scored this gold at 91. I accept Des's challenge. Thanks, Des.
Right. This is different, and I think we need to reward different. Too many images that we're seeing. There's, we see fashions and fads come and go. So, and it's getting rarer when we see something that's innovative and a creative view on. We're seeing a lot of pet photography these days. So to me, this is out there. Technically well executed. The tonal range is really well controlled. The expression on the pup is the killer stroke of genius in a way, because it just gets you in. It's emotional and it's kind of very cute. So this ticked a lot of boxes for me, and I think we need to reward this level of photography. This is not what people with cool cameras can shoot. This is a different way of thinking, and it deserves a higher score, please.
Down at the other end at 82, still an award, but at 82 is Steve.
Yeah, and a lot of what you've mentioned, I completely agree with. I do enjoy that concept. However, I just feel that in order for me to go even higher, there does need to be that sort of... It's hard to put into words, but I feel that there's perhaps too much negative space. The paws are just a little bit too bright, obviously because those paws are closer to the light source than the actual face, but just bringing them down a little bit. I actually do see that there's some technical issues and things like that, but I'm listening, definitely. I do totally agree with you that the concept is kind of there and quite creative.
Lisa?
Yeah, thanks for challenging, Des. I was on the fence which way of 90 I'd go as well. For me, I think it's perfectly composed. I love the negative space. In my mind, I see this sausage dog wrapped around a pole, and you're seeing both ends of it. And like you said, the tilt of the head is just magic. My only thing that was holding me back was I just felt like it could have just been slightly sharper. But that was it. And I mean, considering what we've shot and it's not over sharpened, I'm definitely thinking about it. Yep.
Okay, Des, right to reply?
Yep, just reiterating, and all points accepted. But there is just so many images that we see in the history that aren't technically great, but the concept and the creativity is, and so I get worried that if we focus on the technical a little too much, it's certainly a consideration. If we do it too much, then we're not making the emphasis of where we want photography to go. So this is an opportunity to make a statement and say, look, let's break out of the norm. Think outside the box, and I see this imagine this as a huge piece on the wall. It would just be stunning. You walk into the room and you go, wow, that would have impact.
Okay, Des, you hold your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. Thank you. Piece of cake, really, isn't it, to get a gold? 90. Well done. And thank you for the debate. Well executed by all. Next print, thank you. This print is a silver with distinction at 88. We have a challenge from Rachel, who scored this. I think I've got 2 challenges here. And someone's already pressed challenge, have I? Okay. Rightio, well, I accept. Doesn't matter, you're both on the same score at 90. So we accept Vittorio, that's fine. But that means you kick off, Vittorio. So it got an 88, so it's a good silver distinction.
So,
And you're not alone.
yeah, no, 88, as Greg said, it's a good silver distinction, but actually it's actually a gold. So we've actually underscored it a little bit. So this, I don't know how it's done, you know. I'm absolutely sure it's not a drone, but even if it is, this is amazing. So I've done a lot of aerial work myself, and I know how difficult it is to make an image as perfect as that, and to bring in all of that detail, and to bring in all of that graphic, and to bring in all of that alignment, and the vehicles, and all of that stuff. I mean, it's exquisite in its detail. The cracking of whatever it is. It's obviously an industrial site. I probably know the one, but I've never seen the execution to be like that. So if you look at the thirds in the vertical format, they're very powerful. If you look at the placement of the motor vehicles or the trucks, it's very, very strong. The work, the palette, even the color palette, even it's a beautiful, soft, integrated palette, and just the graphics and where the graphics are laid out, it's a good 90.
Okay, everyone's scored it well, but at the other end is Des on 86.
I'm very happy to listen, and where I need help from my judges is probably to go into gold. We're looking for innovation, creativity, and it's probably because of the context of where we're at in the history of aerial photographs. We're seeing a lot of this, and I'm happy to be fixed up with that point. But what I guess I'm conscious of is that do we keep rewarding the same concept? And this is not a new concept. So that's my hurdle to get over with, and I'm very happy to be put in my place.
Right now.
Yeah, that's my aim. Anyway, I saw this image when it turned around, and the piece on the right actually feels like it would be soft. For me, it reminded me like of grandma's quilt on a bed. You know, you feel this is a textural piece and a visual piece. There's this softness, but it's so sharp and it's so strong, but it's got this beautiful interplay between soft and delicate and strength. And I think that's where this image goes into that innovation. Yes, we do see a lot of aerials, but this is quite striking in its design. I think it's intentionally showing us texture and the enjoyment of representing texture through a visual medium. So I think it does that exceptionally well. So.
Thanks, Rachel. Vittorio, would you like to have your right to reply?
Yeah, I think Rachel's summed it up beautifully. But just back to Des, I think there's some classic goals that never go away. And once you see them, they're there, and they sort of penetrate your mind, and they leave, a memory. And this is one of those prints. It can be classic in its, and some of the classic shapes live on forever. So I believe that's in that realm.
Thank you, Vittorio. Hold your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. Thank you. Thank you. Next print, please. We have a silver award at 81. Yes, Rachel. Thanks.
To the author, this is a beautiful image. It's a well-known piece of architecture, but to me, the way you've captured it makes me think of Wales and a mother and a baby, and it's just a really beautiful way of seeing something so familiar. So, well done.
Yes. Next print, please. Silver award at 81. Could I get a comment from Vittorio, please?
Yeah, this is well executed and a beautiful image. Potentially the the printing could be refined a little bit more, but I think what you've seen here is really, really strong, and that tree and how that works in that frame, for me, is amazing. Now, I've walked past this building like 1,000 times, but I've never seen it like this.
Thanks. Next print, please. Print score was 79. We have a challenge from Rachel, who scored at 84. She was listening to things which were said earlier, I can tell you.
This is such a cool image. Like, the colour palette alone is just divine. But when I see this, I see almost like, if you know Sean Tan's work, the illustrated, like, this is kind of like a story. I can see a rabbit driving a spaceship in some kind of crazy world, and his art, I just reminded so strongly of the randomness and the beauty of the mundane, and this photographer has seen something completely mundane and has made something really beautiful and interesting that we've been staring at for ages and enjoying, and I think that is powerful in itself. So I love this piece for creating a whole world within something kind of ugly. It's amazing.
Now, you're not alone, Rachel. There is someone else very close to you, but down probably at the lower end is Steve. Yet again.
Getting a reputation. Look, in a nutshell, I think it's a beautifully captured image which sets the stage for something which isn't actually present there. I do enjoy that kind of concept of shape and colour and everything like that. I do feel in order for it to actually get into that award range is that next level of narrative, perhaps. But after your little story, I'm definitely listening. I can see the rabbit.
Okay, I'd like you to listen to Des now, Steve.
Yeah, more than happy to support you, Rachel. I saw a yacht. So then it was a spaceship that came down to suck some sludge out of the earth. Or so. It's just, there are so many things. But also the colour palette and the story that it tells is that it's probably, I don't know where it would be, but you can imagine it's out back somewhere, some dodgy, prospector's bathroom. So I thought there was a lot. It's like ready-made art, and so I really enjoyed it and probably underscored. I don't know what would the scores range with it.
Okay, the scoring range starting from Vittorio was 79, 78, 84, 77, 82, with a majority of 79. Okay, it was an average of 80, but of course it's a majority of 79. So, Rachel, would you like to have your right of reply? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all feeling it now, hey? Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, so if you could all feel the score pad, please. They were feeling it. Silver award at 82. Next print, please. So we're currently judging the commercial self-commissioned category, sponsored by the AIPP. Print is a silver with distinction at 86. Vittorio, can you make comment, please?
Yeah, this is second time this has come up for me today. I love. There's a similarity to the print that got gold in the way that it looks to me, but that's just me trying to work out authors. But the image itself is very strong. So that centerpiece, that reflection centerpiece, if I didn't know it was a landscape, I'd wonder what it was. The balance of the it's an unusual balance. It's a very keen eye. That's a lot of elements there to balance, and it's a most unusual way to balance them. So someone's really good at what they do. The whites and the tones, and it's lovely.
I'd just like to remind the judges, and particularly Vittorio, not to assume anything. Your accountant should have told you that by now.
Thanks.
Next print, please. We have a silver award at 80. Can I get Vittorio to... Oh, sorry, you're challenging. You want a challenge? Yep. Okay, well, let's do it. Vittorio at silver distinction on 85.
This is, I'm not going to assume anything after the last reprimand, but this is a very interesting way to see, and talking about what Des was talking about before, like looking at things from a different angle and a different viewpoint. It's another very graphic piece. It's very strong. You would expect the almost for this print to be upside down in a way. The lines are just dragging me into that light area down the bottom of the print, but yet the sky keeps wanting to hold my attention. It's beautifully balanced. I like the light and the lines. I think it's a silver distinction.
Thank you. I'd like to get Steve to make comment, please.
Yeah, look, I think it's a good exploration of concept. I do feel that the exposure got away from the photographer. Perhaps it's overexposed down the bottom, and the detail just can't come back. I awarded it a high professional practice. In order for that to head off into a silver, or at least an award, it did need a little bit more control and technique for me.
Sorry?
Oh, it did.
Yeah. Yeah. It originally scored 80 it scored 80, not by majority, but it scored 80. Yep. Thanks, Lise.
I'm sort of bang in the middle. I actually don't mind the fact that it's overexposed where the sun is. For me, that's part of its charm. I love the little bit of sun coming down the building on the left-hand side. It might be by virtue of having, an 8-year-old boy, but I feel a little bit like I'm a superhero looking up and I'm about to fly through those buildings. So for me, it's got a really emotive message, and it's definitely, for me, quite a solid silver. The one thing I find really interesting about this image is I can't decide if the lines are straight or if they're coming in. I've been looking at it and going, no, they're coming in. No, they're straight. No, they're coming in. No, they're straight. And there's an ever so slight hue, magenta-y, purpley hue in the middle. So if someone was to take this one on, if they could look at those. But this is, for me, somewhat of a magical image, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it's definitely a solid silver.
Yes, right, a reply. Thanks. Vittorio.
Okay, that sums it up from everyone. But the last thing that we may or may not have seen was the reflection as well. So there's a reflection in the glass as well, and that's beautifully highlighted as well, even though the whole thing's a little subtle. But I'd be happy if we could give it a few more points.
Well, here's their chance, Vittorio. So everyone is free to rescore the print, but Vittorio, you hold your score. Good. The print is a silver at 81. Next print, please. Print is a silver with distinction at 87. We have a challenge by Lisa, who scored this a gold at 90.
Okay, so the minute this turned around, it definitely had impact. I struggled not to go ooh out loud because I know that isn't appropriate when you're judging. I love the, on first glance, almost near perfect symmetry, but then on second glance, it is perfect asymmetry. So some rows are perfectly symmetrical, some rows are perfectly not. I love the placement of one way, and it's perfect. It wants me to drive in, around. It's slightly darker at the bottom, so I feel like I'm going down and then bouncing back up to where it's soft. The colours are perfectly neutral. It's, to me, graphically perfect. I haven't seen anything like this before. I really challenge you to look at this and come up and join me in the gold era.
Sorry, I'm just... Steve, yeah.
Yeah, look, completely agree with you. The impact as soon as it came around was, oh, wow, love it. And then I started thinking, for me to actually give it gold, I gave it a silver distinction. For me to give it gold and actually end up in that glorious category, it needs that second element, I feel. I feel that there's only half a story being told in terms of perhaps a narrative. And I don't know what that is, but it's kind of leaving me wanting more, which is sometimes a great thing. However, in this case, it's sort of like, oh, do you know what I mean? But yeah, oh, yeah. No.
Just before we go back to Lisa, I'd like to hear from Vittorio.
Steve, well, how much more do you want? The one way is a clear indicator to exceptional thought. Okay, so that you don't get that there by accident. Okay, the lines themselves, I'm thinking about. I've even thought about how it might be manufactured, but I know not to do that because Greg's told me already. And this is very, very, very strong graphic. I don't think I've seen any graphic as strong as this. It may well be windows on a building to start with, and then something else. But all the unusual asymmetry, as Lisa said, is what makes it amazing. I mean, you've got these shapes that, could be diamonds, start with straight lines. So first you start with straight lines, and you've got straight lines with interesting gaps, and then you've got straight lines that have diamonds, and then you have diamonds that have more diamonds and more triangles, and then you have ones that are incomplete, yeah, and then you have these lines that just purposely go out of the frame, like a straight road, and then mountains, yeah, and then I don't know. I mean, it's got everything. I don't know how much more you could possibly want.
So obviously diamonds are forever, are they, Vittorio?
Best friend.
Okay. Lisa, write a reply, thank you.
I think I've got that element for you, Steve. I've been channeling my inner Rachel. For me, as you were saying, I wanted that third element, the story. And you said one way, and I suddenly saw something more in this. This image is telling us one way to go this way. We follow the pattern, and we can't. We have to go up and around and confused. And I'm feeling a reflection of some of the modern day anxieties as we are told to go in certain directions, yet we can't because life or the patterns in front of us is making us go somewhere else. So I'm seeing a very, very deep story here. I didn't see the spaceship, but I really feel that there is a go this way, but the story is telling you not to do what the sign says. So to me, there's quite a deep narrative as well as impeccable graphical nature. So please join me up there in the 90s.
Okay, Lisa, I should say, hold your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. Gold at 90. Fantastic. Next print, please. We have a silver award at 83. We have a challenge from Steve Scalone, who's given this a solid silver with distinction at 88.
Mm-hmm. Yes, finally my turn. So I do implore you to have a second look at this beautifully colour image, but so monotone with that splash of spicy red and the quality of light that's actually bouncing in and back onto the steps. Have a really close look at how that photographer chose that forced perspective for the second banister where that doorway has now completely disappeared. So that technical ability to actually choose the correct angle and the correct perspective with that glorious light there, I do feel that this is a solid silver distinction. So come on up.
Okay, Lisa, you were down at 78. If you can make comment, thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. I think I perhaps missed something there. I was initially probably distracted by the glorious light, but you're right, it is beautiful. I should have perhaps taken a second look. I'm confused by the leaf on the right. I'm not sure of that. There you go. Someone's going to fix me up. But I'm definitely listening, so please talk. I may have missed something here.
Rachel?
Yeah, when this image turned around, I thought, oh, what a sad door. But then I saw the red and I thought, no, this is a story about hope. And everything is leading to hope and optimism, and that there is light at the end of this very cold kind of door. And then everything is pointing to not to a leaf, but to a little pair of feet, tiny child's feet. It's a very lonely, sad image, but there is hope in here, and that it's very cleverly and subtly and very powerfully done with the colour and that light. I think this is an exceptional image. I gave it an 86, but I'm going to push it up a little bit.
Okay, right a reply. Thanks, Lisa.
Steve.
Oh, Steve, sorry.
Oh, good. Yes, I too thought that element was distracting, and I didn't pick up that it was baby's feet. I actually thought it was a leaf as well, and I thought that that was obviously deliberately placed in there to distract us from it all, which is sometimes also a great thing. So yes, I believe everything's been said. Come on up.
Coming up and join the party, as Steve says. Okay, could everyone rescore the print? But Steve, you hold your score, thanks. It was never in doubt. 87, silver with distinction. Next print, please. Is a majority silver award. Can I have Steve make a comment, please?
Look, I think that deconstructed burger concept is a great idea. I feel that the food needs to feel, or at least look, more fresh and more edible and more delicious for it to actually get higher.
Thanks, Steve. We are just dragging our feet just slightly, guys. So if we could jump up, have a look, make a decision, make a score, that would help the process. Next print, please. Solid silver at 83. Des, could you make comment, please?
Sure. I don't think there's much I can offer in what to improve. I think the image has probably reached its full potential in terms of it's a great concept. It's well constructed, and it's interesting, and it ticks. It has a lot of appeal to it. So well done to the photographer.
Thank you. Next print, please. Sorry, Steve, your score doesn't seem to want to come through. Thank you. Print is a silver award at 80. Vittorio, can you make comment, please?
I think it's the image is fresh in its approach.
Thank you. Next print, please. Sprint scores 78. And could I have a comment from Des, please?
I think there's some probably technical issues, which is probably what brought it down. But I did want to. I actually quite liked it. I gave this an 81, and it's because of the context that it's in. That we're in a self-commissioned commercial, and to me it was probably promoting a product, and it was quite an interesting way to promote it. This is sort of how I read it as a commercial print, and so it kind of demonstrated that quite well with the in an unusual way, and the target formed by the ripple was quite appealing. So just watch the horizon tip in the top of the head. So be careful of what's happening in the background.
Thank you. Next print, please. Print score is 79. Could I have comment from Vittorio, please?
Yeah, I think it's right on the cusp here. It should have could have been 80. Should have been 80. It's got a lot going on it. It's got a lot going for it. It's the mix of colours is really nice. The symmetry is really nice. It could have had another element or something else to take it up a cog.
Esque. However, I feel for it to actually head off into an award, just think about the actual duplication of the same tile. I know that that's what the intention was, but perhaps that's a little bit too obvious.
Thank you. Next print, please. The sprint score is 81 and is a silver award. Can I get a comment from Rachel, please?
Yeah, I scored this an 83, solid silver, because buildings don't generally look like that, and this is one of my favourites in the city. But I love the way it looks like it's kind of moving and falling and floating, and I enjoy the colour palette and the tension between the solidity of it in real life and the representation in an image.
Thank you. Next print, please. Print score is 79. Let me see. Lisa, could you make comment? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really lovely colour palette. Just like with the Berg image, I just feel like it needs a little bit of life to it. So perhaps a little bit more dimension in the lighting, and it looks just a little bit like it's composited in. So, but the graphical nature and the colour palette's gorgeous.
Thank you. Next print, thank you. Print is a silver award at 80. Victoria. Oh, sorry, Steve. Did you want to make comment? Yeah.
Yeah, look, great concept. I do feel just watch JPEG artifacts or printing artifacts, I should say, within the sky and burning in, and a little bit of post-production work needed. Well done, though.
Thank you. Next print, thank you. This print is a silver with distinction at 85. Can I have a comment from Steve Scalone, please?
As soon as this image turned around, complete impact. It's a beautiful play on texture and colour and tone, and it's completely abstract. I still can't quite figure out the sort of textures or the content that was used. And you know what? I don't even need to. It's visually a feast. Beautiful work.
Thanks, Steve. Next print, please. We have a silver with distinction at 87. Can I have a comment from Vittorio?
This is a very difficult print for me to explain, but I absolutely love it. It's beyond my imagination. The whole movement of it, it moves, and it's yin and yang, and it's it's clear and it's definite, but you sort of get lost and drawn in it. So it's a very strong image.
Steve.
I so wanted to give this image even more as a gold and that type of thing. Upon closer inspection, I love the content that has been forced into a landscape and things like that. Just watch the tricolours that are happening up in the sky, and kind of really look towards that magenta cast that's actually forming upon that. If that's intentional, pull that back if you're going further with this image.
Yep, clean it up. Thank you. Next print, please. Print is a silver award at 80. Can I have Steve to make comment? Thanks. We've got a challenge. Okay.
Oh.
Guys, if you've got a challenge, jump in a little bit quick if you don't mind. That's okay. I'd like you to actually put your hand up, jump up and down, and shout, "Hey, Greg, challenge." I'll accept that challenge. Rightio.
So the interesting thing about this is that the guy is on the mobile phone walking out of the image, and his message is being transported into the cloud. Of course, there's no cloud, but it's really interesting how strong and how deliberate this image is in its execution. So the information is just travelling somewhere, and it's been amplified. So, and it's deliberate, and you know, the tone on the tube. What is it? What do they call that? The bandwidth, not the bandwidth, like a really big fat tube that gets bigger, that takes more and more data. It's really interesting. Silver distinction.
Okay, Lisa, you're down at the other end at 75.
Yes, sorry, Vic. I see what you're talking about with the story. I'm really struggling to get past the vignetting technique on this one, with the highlight down the bottom and then the highlight up the top. I see your story. I think I can come up a little, but I'm not sure I'm in an award range with this one.
Steve?
Yeah, look, I feel it does sit at an award image, which is what I scored it. A silver. I feel that with Lisa's comments, the print quality just kind of needs a little bit more refinement. I do love the concept and, of course, the angle and the lighting and even the moment that's been captured, but perhaps the print quality is where it lets it down.
Thanks, Vittorio. Rod reply?
That's fine. I really wanted the print to get discussion, and that we saw the elements, so I'm happy.
Okay, Vittorio, you hold your score. Everyone else is free to rescore the print. Print scores 81, silver award. Next print, please. This print is a gold award at 90. I will get, let me see, Des to make comment, please.
Yeah, thanks for letting me to comment, because I love, this is one of my favourite pieces so far. There's so many different interpretations you could have here. It's like flying saucers have landed to refuel. They're monitors that are placed on the heart to measure them. There's just so many different things. It's really well executed. There's some lovely patterning here and breaking of patterns, and the whole thing's just composed and designed very nicely.
Thank you. Well done to the author. Next print, please. Thank you. Silver award at 83. Let's have a look. Lisa, can you make comment, please?
I really enjoyed the story with this image. I think just a little bit of attention to the join around the top of her singlet. And then I just felt that the eye makeup was a little bit too pretty on the drug addicted side. It was a bit refined. She had the expression, but maybe if we can take the makeup back, it might bring it up.
G'day. Lovely. Next print, please. Silver award at 80. Let me see. Can I have a comment from Rachel, please?
Yeah, I gave this a silver at 81. I really enjoy the coldness and the very metallicness of this image. What would have brought it up for me would be, I was almost kind of hoping that the birds were super sharp to kind of give this a little bit more of a human element, and then discovering that they weren't, it sort of let me down a little bit as in terms of a story. But I really enjoy this image. Well done.
Thank you. Next print, please.
Thanks, judges. I've dropped a few years, and my name's Greg Hocking, Mark II. This print scores an average of 83, but we have a challenge from Des Burt on 92. Well, there's a high tension here at the moment. So we'll accept that challenge, Des, and if you'd like to go for it.
Thank you. This is art. This is unequivocal. This is the sort of thing you go to galleries to see. Now, what I was looking for is, rather than just patterns, there's image there. There's something sharp there. Looking through the leaves, we will see the bridge, and so there's image there. So it's not just splashes of colour. And you can relate this to like Degas or this type of Renaissance art or Impressionist art. Because you've got the feeling there of you kind of, this to me looks familiar. I don't think I know where it is, but there's a familiarity. There's places like this that we experience in our life, and this is bringing back that kind of connection here. So there's a lot of strength about this. There's emotional strength, there's this connection. It's subtle, it's well done. It's the sort of image on a wall that would lighten up a room and give you a feeling of, life's okay sometimes.
Thanks. Rachel, you'd like to make a comment? You're up, just to let you know, Des, you're working with, you're on 92. We've got two 80s, an 82 and an 81. So, Rachel.
Yeah, when this turned around, I was like, whoa, Toxic Monet, radioactive. And I think that's what you're responding to, Des, that art vibe that you've seen it before, but you don't know. It's not familiar, but it is, because it's, I guess, an homage to that kind of style. I would have loved to have gone up with you, but I think the thing that's pulling me down is just... It isn't subtle to me. I can see the grapevines through there, but it's just there's a lot of colour blobbiness, and I think if it had been handled a little bit more refined, especially in the bottom, you kind of pull down into mud, which I feel isn't that high art kind of quality, but it is a fabulous idea and concept, and I'm really enjoying it.
Thanks, Rachel. Lisa, you're on the bottom end, which is still a silver.
Yeah.
Make a comment?
Yeah, I didn't see the grapevine or the bridge behind, so thank you for pointing that one out. I think I'll come up a little, but yeah, I'm struggling to see much more there to go up into the gold range at this stage. I'm not quite there. I'm listening.
Thanks, Lisa. Des, your right of reply, please, sir.
Yeah, I think we've got to look beyond photography of this image. This is painterly. This is working with colour dabs, not specific images. So this is in the higher elm of artistic representation, and it's not specific. I mean, it's a photograph, but it's more than that, because of some really artistic, creative elements that are bringing together quite an appealing piece that I think is a joy to wash your eyes over and just embalm yourself in the quality of this type of imagery.
Thank you, Des. If you'd like to hold your score at 92, I'll get the other judges to rescore, please. It's moved up 1 point to 84, so it's very solid silver. Every point can count. Can we have a blank screen, please? Congratulations, judges. That's it for the commercial category, sponsored by the ARPP. If the judges would like to take a quick 5-minute break.